Hello folks, welcome to our channel. Today we are going to talk about how to take a backup of your code commit repository to an S3 bucket. Think of a scenario where somebody accidentally deletes your AWS CodeCommit repository, then you lose all the code. Although the CodeCommit repository is a highly scalable service and it makes durable copies, but if you delete the repository accidentally, there is no way you can retrieve that code unless you have an offline copy of it. You can find the same information in the AWS FAQ section as well. You can see here on the bottom section of the page, how do I restore a deleted AWS CodeCommit repository? Amazon says it is a destructive one-way operation that cannot be undone, and the only way to restore a repository is to upload the code from a backup or a local copy. And if you ask the question of how do I backup my repository, Amazon says you do a git pull or a git clone if you want incremental changes and run it on a server with a certain polling frequency that satisfies your organization's requirement. So since there is a mechanism that is not natively provided, Amazon has went ahead and created some CloudFormation templates that can help us to do that. So in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to do that. Basically, what we are going to do is we are going to create a cron job using CloudWatch Events, and that will trigger a Lambda job, and that Lambda is going to initiate a code build project. And this project is going to basically create a zip file of all the code that is going to be in your S3 bucket, for example, and then create a tar file and then store it into your code commit repository bucket. So we basically need two buckets. One is for storing all the code that is going to do this background functions, and another code bucket where all the backup is going to be stored. I'm going to run through all the services. You can see here, as of now, CloudFormation doesn't have any stacks with the name as starting with code, and for Lambda also there is no code there. And this bucket is going to be my source bucket where the app deployment code, that is app spec file, all those scripts that are necessary to deploy the solution is going to be stored, and my backup is going to be stored in this bucket. And this is the repository that we are going to take a backup today. And as of now, there are no code build projects in my account. So let us go ahead and see how to set it up in our account and take a backup and trigger it as well. The easiest way is I'm going to clone this repository to my local computer. Here the most important file that we need to look at is the deploy.sh. And in the deploy.sh, you have three important sections that you need to modify: the AWS profile, which will give this code privileges to create a CloudFormation template, Lambda functions, create some CloudWatch events, and then also a code build project. So make sure the profile that you are using has all these privileges. Cron job is going to execute at 2 o'clock UTC time. If you want a different time, make sure that you are updating it. And let us update the bucket names. The first bucket is where all your code for this CloudFormation template deploy.sh is going to be stored. And the second bucket is where all my backup will be residing. And finally, the stack name, I'm just going to add a string for my stack name so we can track it into the CloudFormation console. So let us save this. Make sure you can execute this file, and once you made sure of that, let us execute this file as well. You can see here the entire stack has been completely created. That is a Lambda function and a code build project and the cron job. Let us go ahead and check it out in our console now. There is a stack name that we just now created. Let us go ahead and see what are the resources that has been created. You can see here there's a code build project, and then a role that is specifically for this code build project is also created, and then a Lambda function. Let us go and check the Lambda function here. So you see here there's a code build and code commit Lambda there, and the code, what it basically is going to do is it is going to trigger a code commit backup. That is all it is going to do. It's just going to trigger at this time saying create an artifact, which is a zip file, and then to store it. So if I go to my source code repository, which is where my scripts are, you will find a zip file here. This is the zip file of all the code that is necessary, and currently there are no backups are created because we have not triggered any backup. If I go to my CloudWatch events, you can see here there is an event that has been created for this Mystique stack, and if you can see here the schedule is every day at 2 o'clock this will be getting triggered. So if I go to my code build project, let me refresh my screen here. There is a code commit backup object, and there are no runs because today it is not 2 o'clock, so it is not run. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trigger a build manually. So once I trigger a manual build and it is successfully completed, we should be getting a repository here of a tar file. So let us go ahead and do that and leave most of the things as default. Just go ahead and click on start. And as I said earlier, if you have a lot of files, just make sure that you have increasing this timeout So the process has begun. If you are interested in looking at what is happening on the background, if you just scroll down, you can see here all the history of the log files will be here, and it is doing an update, and it is going to get the JSON parser, and it is going to package everything. You can see here it is listing all the repositories and parsing what are the repositories, looking for the name of this repository, and it finds one repository with this name, and it is trying to get all the objects. And I think our build is completed, and you can see here successfully completed. So let us go back to the top, and you can see here status completed. So let us go to our S3 bucket and refresh our screen here. You can see the repository name, that is our directory, and under which you will have the tar file. Let us go ahead and download this and see whether all the commit histories, all the tags that are created with that repository are visible. Before doing that, I'm just going to go to this repository, and then here I'm going to show you. You see here under tags, we see a lot of tags here at version 1.3.5. Let us see all these tags, all the commit histories are appearing when we are taking a backup. So I'm just going to download it now and move it to a folder so that we can untar it. I just moved the file to the parent directory of this one. So you can see here there is a predict attire for weather with the date and then the tar file. Let us go ahead and extract it. We should have a new directory here, and you can see a lot of files are there. Since it is a GitHub repository, we should be able to see a .git directory also. You can see that here, and if I go ahead and say list my tags, I should be able to get all the tags. I'm supposed to say git tag, and you can see here all the tags that are there are shown up here. If I want to show all the commits also, I can do that. If I want to show the commit history in one lines, this is the entire commit history of that repository, and you can see here the history of the commits, the tags, and all the metadata that are required for this repository to be recreated if it is accidentally deleted, or all put into the S3 bucket, and you can do it every day or any frequency that is required by your enterprise. So that is how you take a backup of your code commit repository and put it into your S3 bucket. If you have any problems in setting it up in your own accounts, go ahead and put them in the comment section, and Valaxy should be able to help you with them. Thanks for watching. Happy learning.